Ah, well, thank you everyone for being here tonight. This program is being recorded. For anyone that is newer and doesn't know, you will not be recorded, just what you see in the camera view here. I also just want to remind you to make sure that you are on speaker view so that you are able to see the work large. I have spotlighted it, so you should be able to see it large, but if you can't, just let me know. So we are using black construction paper or black colored paper this evening, excuse me, and colored pencils, and then also a gold marker or pen. If you don't have a gold marker, that's okay. You can use something else. You could use silver. You could leave it out. You could use another color if you have like paint markers. That's fine too. And then I went over the colors and basically white, black, like a light blue, red, red, orange, orange, and yellow. So those are the colors. I also saw that Lisa just put in the chat the third installment of our series in August. I can't believe that. I feel like it's August already. So my summer is going very fast, but we're still in July. Lisa's right. We are still in July, but I'm already thinking ahead. But I usually am because of programming. Anyway, we're going to be doing this Egyptian scarab beetle. And just a some quick little information about scarab beetles. I love Egyptian history. So I always used to draw scarab beetles. And I remember in high school, I had like a scarab beetle necklace and stuff. I was really into it. But the scarab beetles were very important in Egypt. They were highly revered. Uh, they were mostly associated with the sun god Ra, and they felt that he would basically roll up the sun at night. And then he was also just like, or I should say, just like the dung beetles had rolled their dung at night and then would go to sleep. They felt like the sun god Ra was very important for that. And he was often associated with the concept of eternal life. So they were found, usually amulets were found when in their burial, in like pharaohs' burial tombs and all that. So I thought that was really very interesting about the scarab beetles. So we're going to create our version tonight. And so we're going to be using first our white colored pencil. And as you can see, we are doing it landscape wise. So I'm going to move the rest of these and we're going to get started. And I'm also going to just move my camera a little bit. I realize it's a little bit off. There we are. Okay. I'm also just going to give you a little bit of a closer view in case anyone wants to take a picture before we start. Again, I invite your creativity to add something different to it, but here is what I'll be teaching you. All right, so I'm going to move it up. And we're going to get started in the middle. So basically, we're going to be drawing the shape of our beetle, making sure that we're leaving room for the wingspan. So we're going to start in the middle, but towards the top. And we're going to be drawing the shape, an oval shape of the beetle. And the way that I like to start it is to sort of half the oval shape. So I start to draw in the middle and split the beetle. So I'm going to try to do this as light as possible. Oh, good. It does show up a little bit better when I press. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just halving the beetle, the entire beetle, so that I can then make a perfect oval. Now you may want to make it a little bigger than this or a little wider, but this kind of helps. I feel like it looks like a coffee bean when I do it this way, but I find it helpful. Can you all see that? Just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you can. Okay, great. Thank you. It's showing up on my screen, but I wanted to make sure. So I'm actually going to move this a little bit and make mine a little bit wider on the left side. And then when you're happy with your shape, and if you need to move sort of your inside split, you can do that too to make it look more even. I decided to do that instead of making my beetle even larger. It does taper just a little bit down to the top or from the top and then also the bottom. But we've got our basic shape of our beetle. So next, we're going to come up to the top, and I'm not going to erase this line for now. I'm just going to come up to the top and then make the first detail here, like so. And then after that, we're going to come down a little bit and we're going to make the next detail. And it is going to look like this. It's going to kind of curve right where it's separating. And then curves in toward the edge of each side of the beetle, like so. Oops. Everyone doing okay so far? Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make this a double line. So basically either going above the line you created or below, depending on how far you went down. I'm going to do mine above. And so we're just going to double up that curved line that we just created. So tonight's lesson is also a lesson in symmetry, trying to get both sides equal to each other. Not the easiest thing. But just take your time and do your best. I got to straighten mine out a little bit here. Okay, so far I feel like it looks like an egg. And then we're going to go right underneath and create sort of a U-shaped detail right there. And then we're going to come down to the bottom here. And we have the bottom of the beetle. We have the line that is separating the two halves of the beetle. But what we want to do is come over here and create a section for the end of this by creating two curved lines on either side so that then the bottom here is sort of a triangular section. So again, what I did was I just went on either side above the bottom of the beetle and then made those two curved lines so that it separates and leaves a section for the bottom. And then we're going to come up top here and we're going to be creating the detail on either side here. So first we're going to come in the middle and we're going to make, again, kind of just two curved lines on either side. We'll be filling those in later on. We're going to leave some space and we're going to create two other curved lines like so. Next, we're going to come up top and we're going to create the top of the head here, the antenna. So we're going to go on either side. And basically, we have one. Now you can design your antenna much fancier if you want. I just kind of did very basic antenna here. Like so. Those will be gold later on. We can even add some more detail to those. Move this down a little bit. And then we're gonna now hop back down to the bottom of the beetle. Or actually, I'm sorry, no, we're gonna go over here on the left side because we're gonna start with the wings. So with this part, what we're gonna do is basically, we're gonna start right below this section. You can see here where the wings start right here. And we're going to curve up towards this part. And then we're going to go around and not create the curved areas yet, but create the wings as one form. And then we'll go back and separate all of those lines, all of that detail. The other thing is that we're going to end for now the wings about right here. So we're going to leave room for this detail and then the legs. So let's get started with that. So again, we're going to start right here at this detail and we're going to swing outward and then back towards the antenna. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. You kind of want to see if you can get it looking pretty even. So what you do on one side, you then do on the other. And it sounds so simple, but I don't know, for me, symmetry has always been difficult. I wonder if it's easier for some people and harder for others. I don't know. Anybody know that that answer? I think it's kind of an interesting query. If you do, you can put it in the chat. Okay, so Yep, still want to make this a little more outward. So you want to get that, as good as you can at first, or as much as you like it, I suppose. And then we'll start in on the actual shape. So it's going to be a little more pointed at the top for now. And then it's going to curve around, get thicker. This is the form of, or shape of the wing. And remember, we're going to leave some room at the bottom. So basically, there's a little bit of kind of a curve here. And then you can go across and kind of measure where the other end of the wing would end. So once you draw the first wing, the shape of it, you can then kind of measure a little bit to be able to draw the second wing and see if you can get them as even as possible. I'm going to make this a little darker for all of you. So it doesn't look anything like the wings here yet, but basically we have the shapes. And when you're done with drawing the basic shape of the wings, you're then going to make sure that you draw the other pointed detail separate from the wings. And we'll add the hind legs as well. I keep thinking I have a pencil eraser on my white pencil. So I keep going for the end of it. So I'm going to put my pencil over here. Okay. And then the hind legs. Curve downward, and one is larger than the other. Oops, let me move that a little closer. I like to draw mine as one-dimensional first, kind of stick figures, and then I make them more filled out. He's got little pinchers on the end here, going like so. Something like that. I'll give everyone some time to catch up. Again, this is where you definitely want to look over everything and see if you need to fix anything. Before going on. All right. We are also going to erase the line. Well, I don't know if you made a line here, right across its body at the edge. I did, so I'm going to erase that. And then we are now going to also erase the line going through the head. So that now it looks more like that. And then we're also going to now go towards the wings, and we're going to start the detail on the wings. So the first part is we sort of make the same shape that we created, just smaller, with the whole shape of the wing. So we want to start about right here, and it's going to kind of come to a little bit of a pointed area right here. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to make mine just a little bit longer on this side. And again, checking to make sure everything looks even or the way you like it. You know, at this stage, you might decide to kind of do some more curving of your wings. I'm definitely going to decide to do that. But you don't have to. I think mine was a little off. Okay. Now, once you get that first area in, you're then going to make another shape. And this is going to start to be the shape for the feathers. So this part is not the shape of the feathers, but this second part is the end of them. So we look at it as a whole. We create a crescent shape, and we do the same on the other side. You may have to adjust this as you start drawing, but this is going to give you a good base on where to add the feathers. And then we're going to start adding the curved lines that separate each of the feathers. So I think I'm going to go a lot closer now. that we have this all drawn out. So you can see more of my detail. So we're going to work right in the space first. So basically what we're going to be doing, I'll show the original. So if you can see close up, you can see that we're going to be drawing in between each of the feathers for now with the white. We'll go back later and add black, but for now we want to add white so that we get those separation of the feathers. You can see that the feathers curve slightly toward the top of the main feathers. So let's start doing that. Oops. Move my camera up just a tad. All right, so we're going to start here at the bottom. So remember, this is our shape of the smaller feathers. So we're going to start here and we're going to create a curved feather. So we're going to curve around. So what you can do, if it's easier, you can create lines first to separate the feathers. And then you can go back and draw each one and curve it around like so. So do you see how they curve onto each other? And you've just drawn your first set. Of course, you will have to do some erasing inside, getting rid of the lines. And you can go back in and touch up your feathers. So that's the first one. And then we're going to go over to the other side and do the same thing. I like to start at the bottom. And I do the first one curved.
The feathers.
And just take your time. And as I mentioned, you may have to go back and kind of restructure the feathers. Whoops. Thought I was a little crooked. There we go. Now you can add more feathers if you want later on. You can also, you can keep them the way we drew them, but you'll have time after to do more detail if you want. So we're now going to go to our final feathers, and then we get to start coloring, which I think is the fun part. I mean, I love the drawing always, but I always love to color. Okay, so now we've got those drawn. we're going to do the same thing for the other feathers. Again, I like to start at the bottom. You're going to make curving lines around. Depends on how close you want them. But you're curving upward. And then obviously the finishing touches are going to be, you're going to go back and you're going to make them rounded. So I just did the first one here. Basically, you add some more length and sort of a circular part to the end of the feathers. And keep going all the way around. And when you're satisfied, you will then erase inside the feathers. And you're going to repeat the same pattern for the other side. Now, do some cleaning up. All right, now I'm going to head over to the other side. And repeat the same thing. Curving lines around. Oops, I think I bent my lines a little bit, or I didn't bend my lines enough. Bend them a little more. For some reason, when I switch to the right side, I feel the need to start at the top. Instead of my left side, I start at the bottom. Not sure if each of you are feeling that too as you start to do it, but I think I remember this from when I started drawing it originally. It's been a while since I've drawn this one, but I vaguely remember that. So now I'm just going in and cleaning up the lines. So here again, you want to take a look at your feathers. You know, they're not going to be perfect. You know, they're not going to be perfectly, you know, the same as the other side, but you can get them close. And then you're going to erase any lines that don't belong. And we'll get started in a minute or two. And so basically we're finished with the white for now. You're probably wondering, well, what about, around the edge too? We'll go back and do that after. I also wanted to mention, you can add more gold pen to yours if you wish. And our next colored pencil that we need to use is black. And basically what we're going to do is we're now going to outline in black around our beetle. So you're probably thinking it's already on black paper, but if you look right here, it actually gives it more of a pop. So we're going to outline the entire beetle all the way around. So just take your time. So that means also around each of the wings, not the inside, although we will be outlining the inside of the wings afterward. But first, we just want to give some more definition to the outside of the beetle. Depending on your colored pencils, you may have to kind of retrace to get your black line to show. Also depending on your black paper. So just take your time. We're also tracing around basically everything. We're just outlining the entire beetle, the legs, putting a black line around it all. I guess you could also use a black pen. I was just thinking that might look kind of interesting. I use the black pencil to add some depth to the already black paper. But I suppose like a black marker or black pen would work. You can probably see parts of my outline. I'm really happy that William Jeans picked this, that Lisa picked this. I believe that this is the only library that picked this drawing. I don't think anybody else did.
I think you had a younger version, and I asked you if you could like
Yep.
complex it up for us.
Yes.
So this is
Yes.
kind of an original Anita
It is.
Thompson.
It is. It very much is. And I actually released it to a few other libraries after and said, so William James wanted me to do this. And if you're interested, but nobody picked it.
Well, once they see all of our finished ones, they will be very impressed.
I think so. I am so excited to see these. No pressure, everybody, but I think these are going to be fabulous. Just like anything else, when people follow along to these, I'm always amazed at the creativity and the individuality of each piece. I think it's so neat. So once you have the black outline, you're then going to go inside and actually also start creating some black outlines inside. So for instance, we're going to go into the wings. So basically what you want to do is you will obviously, you've created the white line for your drawing portion. And you want to kind of go around or next to each of the white lines so that you are still showing the white, but you're outlining each of the feathers. If you're confused, let me know. But if you take a look up as you're doing it, you can see that I'm tracing around each of the feathers inside the white lines. So right now we are just tracing around all of the feathers. And I'm going to go on the other side and do the same. It's surprisingly a detailed drawing. Though I feel like once we start layering with the colors, it looks more detailed than it really is. It is detailed, but I feel like the layering of the colored pencils really gives it like an extra, sort of an extra feeling of it being even more detailed. Remember the small feathers. As well. But when you're done with the small feathers, you definitely want to go in the middle of the beetle, the line that we created to separate the wings, and you definitely want to make that black. Basically, I like to trace around all of the individual sections, details of the beetle. You can you know, again, kind of see what I'm doing up here as you glance up. Just gives it a little more clarification. All right, how's everybody doing? I'm just, oh wow, John Paul, that's awesome. You think I can see it? Yeah, oh, now I can see it when you hold it back. Absolutely. Oh, wow. Looks beautiful. You know what I was thinking with this one too? I don't have these, but like metallic colored pencils would look really cool. Neon colored pencils would look really cool. Even probably like the paint markers, like the neon, I mean the metallic ones. I'm just thinking. Anyway, when you are ready, you can put down your black and we're going to start with our layering of the colors. And so we're going to start right at the top with the head. And we're going to be grabbing our yellow. And so basically, we're going to be kind of outlining the top head part in yellow. Kind of coloring around this section. Let's see this bottom section here. And then we start to create a pattern where we're taking the colored pencil and we're almost creating like, almost like a rainbow effect. We're doing it with curved lines so that we're some of the black showing. Now, if you need it to be a little brighter, you can grab your white and you can go right on top of your yellow and brighten it up a bit. You can even color in a little more using your white at the top so that it looks a little bit more glow-like. And same at the bottom. You can add in some lime green if you have it. That might look really neat. So what I'm doing is I'm then just kind of coloring in the bottom portion of this area. Let's just see what little green looks like. Or if it even shows up a little bit. Not too bad. And that's our first part. And we're going to keep going now. We have the two curved lines on the side that are the gold pen. So we're going to leave those, but we're going to start with our blue on the body of the beetle. So on both wings, I like to outline the sections using the blue. This is sky blue in Crayola. Thanks, June. I know that you're going to send it to me. Yay. I want to mention that too, that if you want to send these in, I will leave my email and I will share your drawings and share them with Lisa. I'll also share them with your permission in my weekly newsletter. Yeah. Which I didn't do one this week because this week has been a little crazy for me with, I just put out finally the new fall programs to the librarians. So they're getting back to me. And so we have the fall programming to look forward to eventually as well, even though we still have August. So we're then going to start and we're going to apply the same way of coloring using lines and leaving some of the black showing, going around in a curved way to indicate the curving of the beetle's body. We're going to do that on both sides. And then we'll go back and we'll color in more around the edge of either side of the body. This is where you can even get creative and add some more coloring to this. You can add some purple. You can add, I'm going to go in a little closer now. Then I like to really shade sort of around the edge of the beetle body here. Now you can decide to shade this color throughout the whole thing if you want. It gives it a nice glow effect, this blue, which I really like. So I tend to let more of the black show the closer to the center I get to the body, or to the wingspan, I guess. And then I'm gonna go over on the other side. And do the same, repeat the same process. Now remember, when you're going and filling in the color, you can change direction with your colored pencil. So for instance, I'm trying to fill in some more color right here. And so look, I go side to side, changing direction rather than up and down. And then I go back to up and down. But in order to fill those parts in, I change direction. And I'm going to do the same over here too. And again, this is where, if you want to start adding some more colors, this is where I feel like kind of like a yellow or a lime green might look really neat. I might try it. Grab some yellow. Now I'm going to go right on top of my blue. Yep, it looks kind of cool. So again, you don't have to do this. I did not do this in my original, but it looks pretty neat. If you decide to, you can layer any color. I just went over and picked my yellow, and I'm adding it in some shading on the beetle, on top of the blue a little bit, and I'm even going to go into the black just a little bit. Yeah, I like that. Check how are you guys doing? Nice. Now the legs I did first with some yellow on the sort of where they're closer to the body. I leave the feathers for last. And then obviously after that, we add the gold pen. So I did the legs sort of just with yellow, but you could also, just how I mentioned that I just layered some of these or layered the blue. Oops. You could do that even with the yellow. Like if I want to come and maybe grab, let's see, what color, what I want with the yellow, maybe. You know, maybe I kind of want this weird blue color. And I'm going to make it look a little bit darker. You could even go back in with black. This is for the legs. And again, I didn't do this on my original. I'm just kind of doing it now because I think it's kind of fun. Add a little detail. But then we finally move on to our feathers. And our feathers are the combination of the orange, the reds. You can also add some yellows. I like to start off with red at the bottom part of each of the feathers. And I color in basically a little bit of the feather. And then I make a gradient and add the orange a little bit on top, but also above the red. So see what I did there? There's the red, and then there's the orange. And I might add some yellow in this little point. I added white the last time, and I think I'm gonna add yellow. Here again, if you want it to get a little brighter, you can grab your white and go right on top of your colors. So I've done the first two sections here, and now I'm going to continue with each of the feathers. Again, starting out on each one, I add red to the bottom, kind of like fire, you know, when you see pictures of flames. Red at the bottom, then you add orange, and then yellow. Now again, you might have a whole different color scheme going on, and that's okay. That will look really neat. Again, I like to add the red first to each section of the bottom of the feathers. So that basically at the bottom of each feather, it's the darker color. And then it becomes like a gradient for each feather. This one, I decided to use my red orange. I feel like it's popping much better than the red I did on the original. So I think I'm going to stick with this one. And then add orange and yellow. And don't forget the, the little detail here at the end of each side at the bottom of your, these little things right here. All right, going over to the other side. So again, what I do on the one side, I do on the other. There's the reddish orange. Now I'm going to go back. So again, now I'm going to start layering my orange, and I fill in the part of the feather that is still the black paper. I leave the tip black for now because I'm going to go back with yellow. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I also add that orange to the part where the color of the reddish orange begins, so that it acts as a gradient into the next color. So where one color ends, if you take the next color and kind of color a little bit on top of it, and especially on top of the line that separates that color, that's how you get a smooth gradient. And I can probably do a quick YouTube of that too to show you and send it if anybody's interested. Now, obviously, when you're ready, you're going to do the tips a different color if you want. I'm adding yellow to the tips here. And then what I'll do is I will, for the final part of it, I'll take this yellow and go down a little bit further into each feather so that, again, it's more of a gradient. Oops, I knew my pencil was going to break. I could feel the point of it. I was trying to hang on. Oops. Nope. Use a different sharpener. I'm hoping you're finding this relaxing because it is coloring. Everybody remember the coloring phase with the coloring books? I loved that. I love to color. I mean, I love to draw too, but to color and not have to worry about, creating a drawing sometimes is more relaxing. It's like you don't have to think, you just color. At this stage, I feel like that's where we're at with this. You're just relaxing and coloring, and all the vibrant colors are now coming through. So now I'm going back and just smoothing everything out by using my yellow to color in a little further down on each feather. And also any spots that I missed because I was going kind of fast. And I forgot to mention, when you are finished with the feathers, the band that kind of goes across your beetle, I like to color in a bit of black on each of the edges. And I might try a little bit of purple as a gradient as I go towards the center. Let's see how it works. I kind of faded it out on the other one, the original. I'm adding a little bit of a pinkish purple. Again, these are all details that you don't have to do. So our last step is going to be adding our gold pen, and then we get to see what everybody's looks like. I'm so excited. And whenever you're ready, you can start adding your gold pen. So I feel like the really fun part is adding the gold pen. These are just final details. Making mine a little bit different than my original. Adding some more details with the gold pen that I didn't have before, and you are welcome to do the same. The Egyptians were very intricate. So you can be too. This is where you can just have fun with it. You can add patterns on top of your colored pencil even. That's what I'm kind of doing here. Even adding some dotting. Using the gold. And then finally, if you want to do the outlining around your wings, you can even go inside the wings with your pen, which again, I did not do on my original. You can do it around your entire beetle. And then I created kind of like a sunburst pattern around the beetle because of the sun god Ra. But again, you don't have to. Just take your time. And have fun with this part. I mean, I hope you had fun with all of it. The gold pen really makes it look like it's shining. So I'm just adding a few of my own touches here. Again, just to make it fun. And I think I'm going to go in and I'm going to add some gold around the feathers. Again, you don't have to. And then our final part, if you want to add something on the outside, I added the sunbursts, just lines that are kind of coming from the beetle. And so I'm just going to show you again what that looks like. So originally, looks like that. Again, you don't have to do that. I'm actually thinking I'm going to add sort of dots of gold this time. I don't know why. I just think it looks kind of interesting. So I am so curious to see what everyone else came up with. So I'm going to stop the recording here.